Have you ever wondered who built the prison inside your mind? Because I can promise you one thing. You were never born inside it. No child enters this world believing they are not enough. No child looks into a mirror and whispers, "I'm worthless." Every child arrives with curiosity, courage, and endless possibility. If those beliefs live inside you today, they did not begin with you. Someone or something planted the first brick. The prison is never built in a single day. It rises quietly, one moment at a time. One careless sentence spoken in anger, one teacher who failed to believe in you, one embarrassing mistake that still echoes years later, one broken promise, one dream abandoned before it had the chance to breathe. Each memory seems small when it happens, but together they become the foundation of invisible walls your mind mistakes for reality. Imagine a young Elias standing proudly beside a drawing he poured his heart into. He smiles, waiting for someone to notice. Instead, the paper slips from his hands. The teacher shakes her head. A few children laugh. It lasts only a few seconds. But his mind remembers every detail. The drawing is forgotten. The laughter is not. Without realizing it, a single moment begins writing a story that follows him into adulthood. Maybe no one ever looked at you and said, "You will never succeed." Maybe nobody actually called you worthless, but the silence after your failures, the disappointment in someone's eyes, the comparisons that made you feel smaller, all whispered the same message. Slowly, those whispers became familiar. Eventually, they no longer sounded like someone else's voice. They became your own inner voice, repeating the same lies every single day. Here is the tragedy most people never understand. Your mind was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to protect you. When failure brought pain, your brain learned to avoid risk. When rejection broke your heart, it learned to stay quiet. When trust ended in betrayal, it learned to build walls. What feels like weakness today was once your mind's attempt to keep you safe from being hurt again. Years passed, and Elias carried those invisible lessons everywhere he went. He smiled at friends. He went to work. He laughed when everyone else laughed. Yet inside, another version of him quietly lived behind bars. Every opportunity felt dangerous. Every challenge felt impossible. Every compliment was questioned. Without ever seeing a prison, he had become its most obedient prisoner, accepting limits that existed only inside his own mind. One night, Elias found himself standing before an enormous stone prison stretching beyond the darkness. Ancient walls reached toward the sky while cold mist drifted across the ground. As the heavy gate slowly opened, there were no guards waiting inside. No chains rattled. Only silence echoed through endless corridors. Every wall was built from memories. Every shadow carried a forgotten fear. This was the prison he had unknowingly carried his entire life. As he walked deeper into the corridors, words appeared carved into the stone. Not good enough. Too late. Impossible. Who do you think you are? Elias reached toward the walls, and suddenly every memory returned. Faces, voices, moments he thought he had forgotten. The prison was not built from stone at all. It was built from beliefs repeated so often that they no longer felt like opinions. They felt like facts. The years had made the prison feel familiar. familiar enough that Elias stopped searching for a way out. He stopped questioning the walls. He simply accepted them as reality. How many dreams die this way? Not because they are impossible, but because the dreamer never believes they deserve to try. Invisible prisons do not need locked doors. They only need people who believe escape is impossible. Ahead of him stood 3 doors. Behind the first was a career he had always wanted. Behind the second was love. Behind the third was the life he had imagined as a child. Elias stepped forward, then stopped. Doubt tightened around him like invisible chains. Without touching a single handle, he turned around and walked away. Fear had made the decision before courage ever had the chance to speak. Then, in the distance, a warm orange glow broke through the darkness. Sparks drifted into the cold air as the rhythmic sound of a hammer echoed through the prison. Waiting beside an ancient forge stood the blacksmith, calm, silent, unshaken. He did not ask Elias why he was afraid. He already knew. Instead, he picked up a rough piece of iron and held it toward the fire without saying a single word. "When iron comes from the earth," the blacksmith said softly, "it carries dirt, rust, and impurities. I do not hate the metal because of them. I simply remove what does not belong." He placed the iron into the flames until the rust slowly disappeared. Then he looked at Elias. "The fear you carry, the shame you believe, the lies you accepted, they are not who you are. They are only what life convinced you to carry." Elias looked down at the heavy chains wrapped around his wrists. For the first time, he reached out and touched them. A single crack echoed through the prison. The chains did not completely break, but something inside him did. Hope, small enough to miss, powerful enough to change everything. Sometimes freedom does not begin with escaping the prison. Sometimes it begins with believing the prison can be escaped. As Elias walked toward the enormous gate once more, he noticed something impossible. There was no lock. There never had been. Only fear standing where the lock should have been. Slowly he reached for the cold iron handle. His hands trembled, but he did not step back. Behind him stood the prison he had believed for years. Before him stood a future he had never believed was possible.